Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Let the conversation begin. This is Let's Talk with your host, Carl Lee.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and I am your host of Let's Talk. And today is one of these interesting days. We're gonna dive into this issue of the transition from high school to college, and what are some of the smaller things that will matter for you to get there. You know, one of my concerns, and I've got my co-host here, Hollis Lewis,
going on,
and we got Woody Wood here.
They invited me back again.
we had to bring him back again. Just maybe this is going to be the last time.
Okay, all right.
But one of the concerns that I have is that we are producing some D1 guys, right? We have talent in the state, but when you start to look at guys who have gone to college, the success that they've had, right? Like, and I'm going to separate myself from what I call the superstars that are clear that we see. Randy Moss is that guy everybody knew. Jason Williams, you just knew they were different. Robert Alexander, you knew they were different. You know, these kinds of guys, I don't know them yet. You know, when I look in the valley, I don't see those guys, right? Those guys don't stand out. Am I being too harsh on that? Like, I don't see a Randy Moss in the making.
I don't think you'll never see another Randy Moss, though.
Well, and that may be true.
Yeah, I think
that may be anywhere, from anywhere.
We got guys on that caliber, but I think we're starting to see, like, we have a lot of O linemen and D linemen who are ascending to maybe that status. Like, for example, the kid out of Huntington who went to Tennessee, and I think he's with Chicago Bears now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me clarify what I'm saying, because I want to give all the due to those who have made it.
Yeah.
And I'm making the case that when we make that transition, when we truly make that transition from high school to college, we find ourselves becoming extremely successful.
Yeah.
The problem is we have talent that, for whatever that particular reason is, it doesn't advance itself going forward. And maybe because they don't understand, maybe the parents don't understand. And so I have this question. I talked to a guy who does some recruiting, college recruiting. One of the things that he said to me, he says, what some of the key pieces of things that we look at, it's easy to see talent.
Yeah.
What changes it is when you watch them on film, you watch them in person, you watch them come off the field, you watch them when they win, you watch them when they lose, you watch them when they do a good play, you watch them when they do a bad play. Their mannerisms.
Yeah.
So if me and you, Hollis, are dead even, I come off the field, I slam my helmet.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're telling these kids that.
Yeah. All right. So I think because I want to clarify, and just because we do have a lot of D1 kids who are playing.
Yes.
Like I said, we got kids at Akron, VMI, Dayton, Miami, Ohio, Kent State, WVU, Marshall, obviously, and obviously teams at Division II level throughout the state as well. So just to clarify your comments, I think what you're saying is that we should have more.
Absolutely.
Than what we have.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. I'm making the case that I believe that we have way more talent in this valley, in this state, But unfortunately, it looks like me in high school. It looks like me in my junior high, they're middle school. Mm-hmm. You might be okay on your team, but
they don't understand the work ethic that it takes. I'm
saying, how come they don't understand? You keep saying to me, like, Coach, you're different.
Yeah.
Like you're different. Okay, and maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm the guy who nobody thought could have had the success. Why did I have it? Work ethic, all of these kind of things. I'm saying that the kid that's sitting at South Charleston, that's facing this battle, what is he missing? See, to me, what I think he's missing is he doesn't understand that he can go.
See, I would agree with that. I think that you have to have that dream. You have to have that perspective. Like, this is a possibility, and not only this is a possibility, this is where I'm trying to go.
That's where you got to go. You know? Whose fault though?
So who put the battery in your back? Who told you, Coach, you got this? Well, let me ask you this first. What's your stats look like? Would you keep saying you weren't good? You playing that down card like, yo, I was okay.
No, I wasn't. Here's the thing.
I was too short. I was
Virginia Tech recruited me out of high school, and I was excited. I went on some trips. I went there, but when it got time to sign, they were like, "No, you can walk on. I ain't have that money."
Right.
No different than probably anybody else. Every other school I had was in the West Virginia Conference. So whatever I did in high school, it was enough to pique Virginia Tech's interest, but it wasn't enough for $1. Okay? Yeah. Okay? It wasn't enough for $1. Yeah. All right? And that's just real talk. That happens to a whole host of kids, right? So now I'm trying to figure out whether it's going to be Fairmont, Concord, one of those.
Right.
Marshall was not the Marshall that everybody knows now.
Right.
Yeah. And I went to Marshall solely because of Sonny Randall being a guy who played in the pros.
But just to answer the question, so like, how did that battery get in your back where you had the perspective, like, I'm trying to even take this on to give myself the possibility of going to the NFL?
Bro, I didn't have a battery because batteries run out. It was a permanent thing. It was on all the time. 7 years old, I'm saying I'm going to Sunday. I didn't care about youth football. I didn't care about middle school, junior high football. I didn't care about high school. I made a comment saying that I'm going to Marshall. We're in track. We're running track. Guy comes up. I had just committed and signed to Marshall. He says, how do you feel about going to Marshall? I said, look, I'm going there for 4 years, and I'm going to the pros.
You said that.
I said that.
And see,
and not even thinking how that sounded. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know no different.
Right.
But I think that's the issue, is that I ain't gonna say a lot of kids, but I think most kids don't necessarily think like that. I think we got a few that actually think like that, and as a result, they made it either to that level or close to that level. So that mentality, that's what I mean. When I say you're different, because people aren't necessarily, they don't have that, particularly at that young age. People ain't thinking past high school, college, and just like, hey, I'm going
But
here.
when you say you want to be something, mm-hmm. Okay, if you say so again, my issue is I believe I'm no different though. Who I was as a player, if you want to make a case that I'm different, I was different, is like I did not doubt myself.
But that's the key. The difference is in their mind. If you can get it up here, then physically you will be able to mature and you'll do the things necessarily in order to make it at that level.
Okay, but you make the case that your dad had a huge impact on your education, right?
Yeah, just my perspective.
On your perspective on all that. Yeah. Okay. But I think every individual, I don't have to change Woody's goal on what he wants to be, how big he wants to be, how big he wants his name to be. My question is why and how, whose fault is it, or is it a fault of not having that drive? Because I know these kids want that high school. They want a scholarship. They want to play D1. They want to play on Sunday. I know they want. Why are we not getting there?
Now I might get beat up for this, but I'm gonna take it. You know, most people, when they write down like your goals when you 5 and 6, most of us do write down the NFL, NBA, some pro, and a teacher come back or somebody come back. You need a backup plan. You need something else.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that might crush the little homie. Like, he wrote it down. We saying we gotta write down and go. I'm 6 years old and I want to be in the NFL, and a grown up say you're not gonna make it.
That's a fact.
That is
bro.
a huge
That's a
fact.
fact.
That is a huge fact. So do we have putting the dream out in front of the person and not helping them with the path? Like,
I would say that's the responsibility not only the parents but also the coaches. Like, for example, listening to Dion this weekend, one of the things he was saying about, you know, his various players, and again, some of these players he's been knowing since they 4 and 5. He coached them in Pee Wee and high school, and what he'll do is, like, when they start to dog it, or when they start to get their little attitudes, or when they start to get a little lazy, he'll remind them. He'll say, "Look, Mama's still catching that bus, ain't she?
Mama's still in the hood.
Mama's still in the hood. Daddy's still locked up." So sometimes I think that, in addition to, like you said, Woody, not having that dream killer when we 6 and 7, we also have to have those people in our life that when we set those goals, they reminding us of those goals.
But okay, I said it. I wasn't afraid to say it. I'll make the argument for you all to try to defend it that most people don't want to say that out loud.
Because they scared because they've been shot down so many times.
I think they've been shot down so many times.
Like, you got to have another plan. Like, I knew I was going to be on radio. There's no other way. That's all I had. Like, they say don't put your eggs in one basket. It's going. And I'm going to make the basket work.
That's no different for me. I'm trying not to look. I'm in school. I'm in college, man, and I'm a 1.57 in my freshman
Your GPA.
Yes. My first season. No, bro, I was playing football, and all I knew was football, and because I did not want to have. Don't give me no option. Don't give me no option. I don't want an option.
Right.
So my mom knew, my dad knew, this crazy kid does not want to do anything other than play football. I didn't realize the academic requirement.
You straight up.
I'm straight up talking football. Period. Right?
But I still think.
But then when I became ineligible or was going to be ineligible, I was in study hall. Coach Randall put me in study hall the rest of my career.
But I feel that.
So then I understood though.
But that's what makes you different. And I would say even above some of the players that you mentioned initially, like, because those players might have had the talent and the acumen that it was inevitable that that's where they were going to go. You had a mental fortitude. You had it in your mind, so nothing else was going to stop you, and you were going to do what else is necessary. So I think some of these kids, they don't have it in their mind. Like I said, at some points I think they've been blocked or dream crushed by the adults. At some points they might have changed their mind. At some points they just maybe don't want to take it as seriously as what they should.
Okay, well, I don't. Okay, so how do I? Okay, so let's try to pick away at the people who were blaming. Okay,
well, not necessarily blaming.
Saying that. Okay, so how does a
they're just going off of what they know?
Okay, how does a okay? So if a coach is looking at me, and and he's looking, and I'm talking about playing Sunday. There ain't nothing like what he knows. What a coach knows is the metrics. See, it's the metrics that's the tricky piece.
See, I don't think so.
Yes, it is. Because if you're not
a good coach,
okay. Here's my thing. At D1, you're not gonna go D1 unless you fit it. And when I say fit, all the metrics that you have to have: height, weight, strength, speed, all of that. You gotta have that. Yeah. Okay, you gotta have that. Now, if you don't have that, you better be a baller. Like you have to be that dude, that girl, that man.
But see, I think you skipping over the most important part.
No. The most important part is the metrics.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What I'm saying is that
because if you don't have the metrics, they're not looking at you.
But,
now, unless you are like somebody's got it. Like Woody. If I'm using Woody's putting in all the work, but Woody doesn't have the whatever the requirements are needed for the voice or the on air, right? He don't have that, right? And they're looking for this type of voice. If he don't have that type of voice, it don't matter what songs he plays, right?
Yeah.
You know
what I'm
saying?
saying though is that I think from your perspective, you skipping over the most important parts, which is the mental aspect of it. Because for you personally, you never had to work on that because that was already ingrained and established. So what I'm saying, if I have a kid, if I'm coaching high school ball or whatever, if I have a kid who says, man, I'm trying to play D1, I'm going to remind that kid, number one, it's 100+ schools, it's NIA, is JUCOs. If you're willing to work hard and you willing to work hard and you have the focus and drive to do that, that's the first hurdle. Now, if you don't have the metrics, then we got to talk about that and we got to come back down. But before you have anything else, you got to have the mind, because it's a bunch of kids walking around here that fit the metrics. That's fast, big, strong, but they mentally aren't capable of going past where they're at.
So me as the coach, can I get him mental?
I think you can at least. You may not be able to get him 100%, but you can remind him or her.
But it takes 100%.
But what I'm saying is, though, I'm saying like as a coach, I can't make you do something, but I can remind you, this is what you told me. This is the goals you set for me, and you ain't coming to this, doing this, right. The attitude. I can put that in you far as I can do my job as a coach. I can't make it. I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
But my job as a coach to remind you and build a program that can help you ascend to that level.
Okay, so all right. Let's try to figure out then, okay, if to your point, we're talking now, okay, so let's put the part of this responsibility is on the coach, okay? So she's got to be able to press that athlete
100%.
100%.
Press. I like that word.
Yes.
Yeah.
I truly, I'm glad you went with me on that. I'm glad you went with me on that, yes.
Yeah.
So here's the problem, though. What if you're trying to press the kid and the kid's not interested? He don't want to play offense. And supposedly offers. I went down to Marshall and I watched Coach Huff coach. Mm-hmm. And I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, how many high school kids that I know are going to be willing to take that screaming, yelling, and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. Are we coaching right? Like, because I'm old school. Everybody says my coaching is old school. It's dying. I said to myself, look, I can't do this. But look at Dion. Look at Dion. Mm-hmm. Look how he's coaching.
Yeah.
But you the wrong sock, you got a problem.
Yeah.
He's dancing with you. Coach Huff, you win a game, he's in the locker room dancing with you. So he's got all of that off the field stuff, the locker room stuff, but the field stuff, the practice stuff, oh no, that he's requiring you to give your best. I don't know. And the discipline, don't be late.
Yeah.
I heard him yell at a kid because he didn't have his helmet. Mm-hmm. Who's that sound like?
Yeah.
If you walk away from your helmet, you got a problem with me.
Yeah. I think in the modern era, you got to balance it out. I think you can have those coaches who, like you said, inflict that more maybe old school discipline type of behavior.
Deion is as old school as you can
but he's
get.
as new school as you can get as a coach too.
Absolutely.
I mean, he got the kids with their Twitter handles on the back of their practice jerseys. He got them the jewelry. So he's new school in the sense that he understands, hey, I'm gonna give you this leeway. For example, he don't make Travis Hunter practice till Wednesday. So Travis Hunter play on Saturday, play both ways. He don't practice on Sunday. They off on Monday. He don't practice Tuesday. He's required to come on practice on Wednesday. And again, to me, that's a coach who's in line and understands what's going on. But some coaches, they get too disciplined and they say you got to be with the team.
What that is a pro athlete that's coaching. That's a great coach.
Okay.
That's a pro athlete because he knows the number of plays, reps this kid's getting.
But I'm saying some coaches wouldn't see it like that. And some coaches be like, well, you got to be part of the team.
Some coaches
blah, blah,
wouldn't
blah, blah,
even
blah.
have him playing both ways.
100%.
Okay. So, again, I find Deion as the guy, as the epitome of new school. But his on the field thing is no different than any other coach that's expecting you to be on top.
I would argue different. Because the same thing with Shedeur Sanders. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. But when he made the big play, I think he made the run or the 2-point conversion or something like that. Shedeur comes off the field. Well, I think while he's on the field, takes off his helmet, start looking at the crowd. Deion goes to him like, man, what you doing? You can't do that. He turns to his dad and said, it's personal. Dad walked away. Ain't saying that because I think he understands players. I think he understands.
Yes,
he don't go too. I'm
but
saying he don't go too far with the discipline to me.
Okay, so when he's talking about a sock, you got the wrong socks on.
Yeah.
How detailed is that?
It's very detailed, but what I'm saying is that here's what I'm trying to say.
See, coaches
it doesn't become all discipline.
But it's discipline in the right to do what the team is doing. It's different how you handle an individual case. We joked around about how I would handle V if V makes a mistake or did something wrong on the field, how I might handle him compared to how I could handle somebody else. That becomes okay. That's the juggling of the guy that you need to get you where you're trying to go. So you can tiptoe a little bit with him.
Yeah.
Not only because he's your guy, but he's going to understand it because he knows his role. But for somebody who may not know their role, some of them could be on that team. Like I'm assuming the dude with the sock thought he could wear a different kind of sock because it ain't that big of a deal. Deion made it very clear that it was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't think you can take that away.
No,
and then
his
thing. So if there's a meeting at 6, his conversation is you need to be there probably by 5:45.
Coach Lee rule,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he suspended his oldest son
minutes late.
Last
if you're 5 minutes late, which 5 minutes early, you late.
You late.
And so, and why does he do that? Because what did I always say? The most important piece is doing what? Be on time.
No, that's not. That's not it. The most important piece is having fun. And the fact of the matter is what Deion does is you got it. The discipline is your cash payment to have all this fun we about to have. And to me, more
the
than
way
any,
you get the fun. No,
I'm saying it's your cash payment. You got to have the discipline first. I'm saying that's your cash. You got to pay that cost first. And I'm saying the cost, and once you pay the cost, the reward is to have the fun and to be a part of the spectacular, the swagger, and all that sort of thing. So I think to me that's what he's mastered. Because too many coaches, it just is all discipline. And then by the end of the game, it's just not fun to be here. It's not fun to be around. You know what I'm saying? So you got to balance that out.
I think. Well, I can, and again, it is very difficult to try to put in perspective someone's coaching style.
That's a fact.
Because
but he's put it out there, though. I think we can talk about his. Yeah.
But for me, as a player watching Coach Huff at practice, I know that tempo matters. I know that I better hold on to my helmet, and if it's supposed to be on, it better be on. And all I can sit there and think to myself is, that's what I was told.
Yeah.
And that's how I coached at West Virginia State. Okay? It was be on time. It was all these critical things. And I'm not comparing myself to Deion, so let's not make that. But it is just what players know. I know I can't be late.
Yeah, but
that's the lesson that they're teaching. And Deion said it out of his own mouth. For the kids who want to go play on Sunday, he's trying to give them the best opportunity. For the kids who are not going to be able to play, he wants them to be able to go get a job and be able to be beneficial, be productive men.
Yes.
And that is what it's about. You can say you're about winning all you want. You can say, don't say that you're not about winning. I love to win, man. Like, I love to win. But if I put your kid behind my interest of winning, I'm wrong.
I don't think it has to
I'm
be
wrong.
that way.
I don't say it has to be that way.
What I'm saying
but
is, like,
Woody,
you got to
I'm gonna
focus
make
on.
the
You
case
got to
there
be.
are
You got to focus on.
There
winning.
are some to me, because winning at the end of the day isn't really about me as the player.
Mm-hmm.
The coach gets that stat. I don't get that stat. I got to go look my individual stats, right? And you know what? We got to take a quick break right there.
I got a
we'll
question
be right
too.
back.
When you
Come on back. Come on back. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Woody.
Yes, sir.
It's me and you. Hollis had to take a quick break. I was making the case that all these important things, like at the end of the day, it is about the lessons. It ain't about how good you are or what you're going to do. If you don't have these lessons, if they don't fit, if you can't follow them, you're not going to make it.
And you know that, right? You've been there.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that. So my question is for you, when you was at South Charleston, because you said West Virginia State, you didn't implement that at South Charleston? You only did that at State, or you couldn't? It was just they too young, or how did that transfer to
the very first thing came to me. The very
Mm-hmm.
first thing that came to me was, Coach, you got to be careful about, on these kids being late, because, some of them, they got this, they got that. And I'm like, okay, and the situation at home could be different, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, that made sense to me in the moment. But then when I realized, well, okay, we practice after school.
Right, he ain't going home.
You ain't going home. And then all of a sudden I got kids who are running off the hill to grab something to eat and come back.
Yeah.
And wanting to come in 2-3 minutes late. Some maybe 5-10 minutes late. So it was in my mind that the potential of what they needed to do. Because no one's going to just necessarily say to me that, okay, I just was late. You know what I'm saying? Because that's running.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. So
I lost that piece of expectation.
Gotcha.
In that space. And see, to me as a coach, as an individual, when you lose something that's instilled in you, it eats at you, and you can't, it's hard to keep moving.
It's hard to adopt something else.
Yes, because I'm looking, I'm looking at these kids, and and unfortunately, I'm looking at the adults in the room, the coaches, and how you're rolling with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If you're rolling with it, then clearly that message is, you don't see this message as being valuable.
Right.
And I think if you don't see this being valuable, then coaching really shouldn't be about you. I don't care what your record ends up being. I don't care if you win a championship. I don't care. We know, everybody who hears my voice today know that there are coaches out there who only care about winning. Mm-hmm. And we know that there are parents of players who don't care about anything but winning. Mm-hmm. No loyalty, no nothing.
All the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, do you? Okay? But I'm telling you, what a scout told me this week on a call, when your kid comes off when he comes off the field and he had a great play, they're looking at that. Mm-hmm. They want to see what that looks like. When a coach gets on him and he starts talking back, mumbling back, they're looking at that. When you lose and the way you handle yourself when you lose, they're looking at that. That is bigger than your touchdown stat.
Are we teaching that though, or do these young folk, these young
I
men and women know that?
I don't see. Here's the problem with the love on your coach, because the love on your coach is going to say, "I get it, I feel you. I'm gonna hug you, tap you on the back, and say I feel you." The scout in the bleachers is saying, "Nope."
Where's the disconnect coming in?
Because to me, a lot of it is you ain't have that scout looking at you. If you my top voice on the show, right? You my top voice, and you doing some stuff that I don't really want you to do, and I'm telling my other people that's coming up, they trying to learn, don't do this.
Right.
But I can't tell you. That's a problem.
Yeah, no question.
That's a problem. And until you can come to the best player, to the best voice, and say, no.
Right.
We ain't doing it that way.
Right.
Okay? Until you can do that, that's loving on them. Because you're giving them a chance to make that transition. Because high school football is not college football. It is not college football. D1 is not college football or high school football.
Yeah.
It just is not. D2 is not high school football. D3 is not high school football.
That's why you think our kids not lasting? Because they're not prepared? We got some kids that stuck through, but most of them go for 1 year, 2 years.
Yes.
Out.
We get them a couple years out.
Yeah.
We get a couple years in and come home.
Yeah.
Part of that is because they have been so good at their youth football team, in their middle school. I look up and I see you, and I hear you, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. So instead of saying, I want to get that, I want to get there. Oh man,
it's almost too late then, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of that thing like if you've never had to compete for something, then all of a sudden you're gonna try to compete at 19, 20, 21, huh?
Compete, go to class, get up at 4:30, go to workout. Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on the sideline for a game, and I'm used to being the guy,
right?
And I could be third team. Man, I'm walking. I just don't get it because I walked into Minnesota as a late draft pick. It was in the middle, but it was a late draft pick, a low draft pick. Maybe I should say it that way, a low draft pick. And I'm looking around to try to figure out who I'm going after.
Right.
I'm not going after you if you weren't a starter.
Right.
Because that don't guarantee me, that don't help me not get cut.
You ain't going off the kickoff team.
I'm not looking for the kickoff team. I'm looking for the guy. They got me playing corner. This is a new position. That don't matter to me. I got to find that guy.
Right.
I looked at a guy, John Swain, University of Miami, was a 3rd round pick. I was a 7th round pick, 6th pick, but 7th round. That don't match. That don't match.
Right.
Who'd I beat out? John Swain.
That guy. Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was comfortable.
He been
starting.
Yeah,
He been starting since he got there. He was starting as a rookie since he got there. I'm like, okay, I'll outwork you.
Right.
You know, I already know.
Young folk listen to the show, and a lot of them do, man. A lot of people like, man, I heard you on Carl's show. I don't even think they listen to my show no more. So it's a good thing. No, man, it's a good thing, man. You changing this valley with this show. You are changing this valley, man.
I'm hoping. Thank you.
I don't care if it's good or bad, but they are talking about this show. If it's a young folk listening right now, and you could just give them about 2 words, Carl, what would you tell them to get to this next level and get to that final level, which is the NFL and NBA or whatever you want to go, wherever you want to go?
It's a simple thing we used to say all the time in the league. Make plays. Now, how do you make plays? Got to get on the field. If you're not on the field, don't blame the coach. Get on the field.
Right.
Because ain't nobody going to say, I'm not going to be able to say, well, Woody, man, I didn't get a chance to play. So, you ain't behind that. Coach ain't give me a chance. You ain't behind that. That's dead, man. That go after somebody and get their job.
Gotcha.
Take that job. If they work hard, you got to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
Look and see where their weaknesses are, right? John Swain, he was comfortable. He tells me we run in sprints. He tells me, bro, slow down.
No way.
God be my witness on the air, okay?
Chill out, Carl.
Bro,
you working too hard.
Bro, you know what I looked at? I looked at him and said, bro, look, I got nowhere to go.
Right.
I can't go home.
Right.
So you either need to speed up or bro, do you.
Yeah.
And then I beat him out. That's how that works.
Gotcha.
Look at that dude. It's hard to beat a Randy Moss out. It's hard to beat a Kurt Warner out. It's hard to beat that guy who's already putting in work and got talent.
Right.
Okay.
And Randy put in work.
Don't fool it.
Yeah,
don't get fooled.
Yeah.
No, don't just because it's and that's why I separate myself from those guys, because here's my, and people hate when I say it this way, but this is the only way you can say it. If there is a Randy Moss in the building, we're gonna know it really quick.
One question, yeah.
Right?
For real.
If there's a Kurt Warner in the building, we're gonna see that in a heartbeat. We already know they're there.
Right.
Okay? Carl Lee is somebody who's gonna sneak up, gonna all of a sudden surprise you because you don't see what he's doing. You don't see the work he's putting in. Those are the kids I'm touching because I don't know what it's like to be a Randy Moss.
Right.
I ain't going to the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying?
Gonna get in.
No.
You might be dead, but they're gonna put you in.
Those guys are special.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's when I say God-given talent, I truly mean that, but they put work in on top of that. So you got that kind of talent and then you working.
Yeah.
I can't catch that guy. Okay? But I can max me out.
Right.
And if you're not willing to max yourself out, and you're just sitting there talking about, and you can blame the coach. You can do all that. You can blame the wins and losses. I got all that. I endured all that. Mm-hmm. I can make the case that we didn't win in Marshall, so my coaches must not have been good. One of my coaches was Bob Pruitt.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
So he coached me as a DB. Oh, well, that's why you made it. He wasn't the head coach.
Right.
We ain't win. He couldn't coach us enough to win.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, he coached you enough to get to the league. I'll give you some of that. But in high school, we didn't go to the playoffs. I didn't play in any single playoff my entire high school career.
That's unbelievable.
Okay? At all. Nitro beats us our senior year, knocks us out of the playoffs. So I didn't get that extra exposure against the best teams in the state.
Yeah.
I didn't get that experience.
Yeah.
I didn't need it, though. I did not need it because I already had set my sights on being that guy. I wasn't the best player in the state. I wasn't the best DB in the state. If they had that out back then, I didn't make the best DB in the state. I'm gonna make the case though. I might have been the only DB that made it to Sunday,
right,
out of my class, and I could be wrong, but I'm gonna make that case. So I ain't had no accolades to say, "Oh, he was great."
So how did you get at Marshall then? Like, was Marshall D2 like what is double A?
They were one double A. They were one double A back then.
Okay.
And but I went about
did you walk on or did
no?
They
gave me a scholarship. I went on a visit before the coaching change, and I think it was Elwood that was the coach. And I go down. I ain't like nothing about it. Coach didn't. He came out. How you doing? Glad you made it. Blah 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 blah, and was gone. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
you wasn't the guy.
I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Right?
Is that enough for me to say, okay, I'm coming? I'm on a recruiting visit. And I got 5 minutes maybe with the coach. So he may have already known that he was going to get fired. So he gets fired. He gets fired, and they bring Sonny in. And Sonny looked at me and said, I hear that you talking about you want to play on Sunday. And I said, yes. No hesitation, no question mark, like, well, I ain't, no. Yes, I do. He said, well, if you're good enough, I will get you a trial. Where's the paper?
Let's go.
Where's the paper?
Yeah.
I don't care about the wins. I don't care about the losses. If any coach would have said that to me, I'd have signed. If Concord coach would have said, look, I can get you to the pros. If I am different, I am saying that our kids have to be willing to dive into that dream. Not to the extent that I did, but to an extent that it matters to them. Like you ain't gotta, you can't just go to practice and practice is enough.
Yeah.
You can't, we talked about you taking tests, You ain't just taking a couple hours, study for a test and then go take it.
Yeah.
You putting time in.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't just get to where you are right now that you can bum rush my show.
I gotta find it. I got it. But I'm with you, Coach. Do you see any kid right now? And you went to a high school game. Where you go last week? Did you go?
I went to South Charleston. South Charleston's game. I'm trying to think.
Did you see anybody on the field who's like, that kid got it?
From South Charleston?
Any kid, any other 22 kids?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't really watch it in that kind of focus because one of the things that what I appreciate about from South Charleston is that their kids played. Like they did not give up. They had a drive and they fumbled it right toward the end, and you could just see the air just coming out of them. But they were so excited because they were moving the ball down the field. That to me, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like, man, these kids they're willing to take. They were getting killed,
right?
But they were hoping just to drive down and score. And if they'd have scored, they'd have done flips, man. They'd have done flips like they won the game. And see, that's what I love. Like I love that piece of it. See, you can do and say what you want about how bad the team they are, but that team did not give up. That team did not give up. They kept playing. Credit to who? The coach. Credit to the coach. Hats off to the coach. I couldn't get them to do that.
Gotcha.
I couldn't get them to do that. So I failed in that category. Mm-hmm. But I would make the case that we had some situations that were hangover situations that were just not workable. I couldn't get into their minds, their heads. I couldn't get into it. And then again, you got to have a coaching staff that has to be solid. It has to be, I got to count on Hollis to come to me and say, Coach, that's wrong. You need to do this. We need to do it this way. We need that feedback. But when it's just you and Hollis whispering like, man, Coach is tripping, man. He da 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 da. That ain't helping.
But do you think you left too early? I know we asked this last year.
No, because I don't.
The kids ain't gonna just come out right away and just trust you. It is what it is.
This group of young kids. When I went to the South Charleston game, quite a few of those kids saw me, came up, gave me a hug. I talked to a couple of the moms. That made me feel good,
right?
And I think Hollis can speak to this. Mm-hmm. My tie to players is huge. Like I want it to be something good. Like I want it to be special, but I want it to come through adversity, because adversity is the way that you can come together. We're at state. We're not winning, but we're working hard, and we know that we're working hard. And if I can get Hollis to work hard when we're losing, and probably going to lose on Saturday, whether it's home or away, homecoming, we probably going to lose. But I can get Hollis to get excited about the game, and then I can get him back up for the next week, and he's ready to go again.
Yeah.
See, that's what matters. But see, when you can't exclude people from the loss. You can't say that, oh, because Hollis, you and Hollis were y'all the stars on the team, y'all didn't do anything bad, and the team lost. You can't do that. And to me, I feel like that was some of
all the time.
I think that was happening. I think that was happening at South Charleston while I was there. I think there were players who did okay, and they weren't part of the loss. They didn't feel like they weren't part of the loss. And I think there was coaches. I think there were coaches who did not feel like they were part of the loss. And okay, give it all to me. I got big shoulders. Give it all to me, and I'm fine. But, hopefully everybody gets their chance at sitting with the whistle and the big hat on. Everybody gets that opportunity at some point. I hope anybody and everybody who wants that, I hope they get it. Because until you get it, you don't know nothing about it.
Right.
And Hollis, you got quiet on us. I know you got busy. You got busy.
I think
over
Hollis
there.
about to say, I disagree with all that. He was getting ready over there, bro. He was waiting.
I'm good. Yeah, I think, like I said, coaching is tricky. I coached for 8 years. It's almost a situation where you just never know kind of what you're going to get. But I think it's one of those things that if you're prepared enough, you have the proper experience, you can sort of fight through the adversity. But like I just said, I just think that for me, I don't think you can go too far, too left, or too right when it comes to coaching. Your focus can't be 100% on winning. And to me, your focus can't be 100% on discipline. I think there has to be a pathway through fun. Because I think that, modern kids, when I look at, who is successful, particularly if we're looking at locally or even nation, like we talked about Dion earlier, it has to be it has to be a process to where we can get to the winning. It has to be a process where we can get to the fun, because that's going to build that stability where you can be there for a long time and implement the things that you would like to on kids for years to come. Okay,
so I think the current coach at South Charleston has the proper setup. I don't think they have any adversity through the coaching staff. I think that, I think they're all good with the coaches. I think everybody's on the same page. They're playing young kids. They know they're playing young kids. I think he's handling those young kids well. My question to you is that can't happen unless everybody's bought into a single structure.
Not necessarily. I don't think you ever going, like, if you're dealing with 40 to 50 kids and
I'm not talking about kids. I'm not talking about kids.
I'm saying like you got 40, 50 kids and you got a 10-man coaching staff and whatnot. Not everybody's going to buy in necessarily 100% to everything.
Okay. But if you don't buy in, okay, then you got to be open and clear about the conversation, right? You can't have it behind, because there's nowhere where talking behind the back is okay. There's no place. You can't make a justification for anybody saying anything behind the back. And if you say it to players, and if you say it to players' parents, or you say it to your boys, and you already on the negative. That can't be okay. You can't. And I know you're ready to jump in, Woody, but I want to hear Hollis say that you can't make that okay.
What I'm saying is this: if you're in a leadership position, whether it be politics, radio, coaching, that's gonna happen. People gonna talk. People gonna disagree. Because particularly in a coach, where I would say coaching, you can run it like a dictatorship or it can be a democracy. And what I've seen from a lot of coaches, it leans more towards the dictatorship. Mm-hmm. So when you running it that way, you're going to have malcontents. You're going to have people who don't think.
I didn't run it that way.
What? No, I'm just saying.
But my point is, I didn't run it that way.
I don't know.
I gave people control. I wasn't even really involved into a host of the things. But I think the question that I'm asking is, you cannot have a solid coaching staff if you can't bring the hard conversation to the top.
I think that's in life as a leader.
Right.
And as a leader, I got a staff upstairs that used to be bigger. We used to have about 6 or 7 people. And we all came to the table. We talked. Some of them liked me, some of them didn't. But I always told them, right now at this moment, we got to do what I say. I hate to be that way.
Right.
Because one day you're gonna be in this seat and they're gonna have to do what you say.
Right.
If we just and the Carl, there's no diss to you, but I think you wasn't hard enough on your coaches to say, hey dog,
I'll give you that.
And hey man, come and holler at me. Come holler at me because I heard this. You did this wrong. I seen you do this wrong. I can't let you keep floating out here and doing the wrong stuff when it's my name and my leadership is on the line.
I agree. I would agree. And I think it was nowhere even remotely close to what it was at State. At State, everybody was on the right page. Everybody knew if you had an issue. I don't care if it was a personal issue with me. Like I said something to you and you didn't like the way I said it to you. Come to me, tell me. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. It was all through the meaning of coaching.
Right.
You know, it wasn't personal because I don't try to get personal. You know, I'm not trying to be personal. I'm trying to, in a sense, make people see that there is a reality here. There is a reality here of I can make the case I failed. I can say it. I can say it. You can't say it. I can say it because you ain't done it.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't sit in the seat. You don't know. You may think you can be great, but it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way.
Hollis disagree again.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, you don't know until you're there. I mean, that's a valid point.
But aren't you semi there? If me and you are on a team, bro, we coaching, and I'm the head coach, and I see some bickering or some beef as the head coach. I literally just had a meeting. Literally, that's why I was late with a staff member of mine because he didn't agree with a move I made. I said, bro, all right, we making changes. Like it happens. Yeah. We all getting older. It happens. If it don't work, it falls on me.
Yep.
And you can express I got an open door policy. Like everybody say that, but I really do. And it's not about me. This is about the team that I want to develop, man. We are brothers. We are friends. We're going to make this thing work. If I failed, dog. My fault. I tried it. I went out. It ain't won't be the first time I failed, but I'm glad you came to me and had this conversation and go instead of going to tell Lisa or Act Right or Billy Bob or somebody at the bar. I'm glad you sat in my office, expressed what you had to express. We're gonna shake hands, but at the end of the day, Woody got to do what Woody does because, and it's not. I won, like I'm winning. I'm not going to change on what I know.
Right.
But I think the point is, too, is that sometimes if I come to you, and I'm not saying me personally, but if somebody comes to you and they're having that conversation and they're saying we ought to do, I'm presented the plan and we still lost. And now, like you said, though, and maybe I was wrong in that because now you are, like, I'm a part of this loss. That's on my record,
you too.
Yeah.
So, I tried to do something to fix it, but
here's the separation of
but
what
it's not
Carl's
being
talking
fixed.
about. Oh, I told him that, but we didn't do it, so I didn't lose. Yeah, you did. You lost. You part of the team.
Yeah,
There's no coach. There was no coach to me because I didn't get the right coaching staff. I didn't get the right, the groove for them to groove into a good staff to where we could be solid, where we could teach all the right stuff. It starts at the top.
I don't think you gave it enough time. You gave it 9 weeks, Carl.
I agree. I agree. But man, it was to a point where I just wasn't. It wasn't really worth it wasn't worth the time that I was willing to give up.
I got you.
It just wasn't. It wasn't. I wasn't willing to do that. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Let's Talk today. Yeah,
I thought we got one more. We got to keep going. We still got. We gonna take a break. We come back with a short one.
We'll take a break. Let's take a break first.
All right, we come back with a short one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm clearly on overtime. See, here's part of my issue. I love Woody being on the show. I love him being on the show, but he got way too much power. He pushing me in the overtime slot.
That was
But anyway,
Hollis, man.
We got to talk about the scores. I mean, we've been talking about the transfer portal and everything, all year. So we got to talk about what transpired as far as Friday Night Lights.
well, I'll turn this over to you after I say this.
Yeah.
I don't know at this point how anybody could potentially feel like this transfer deal is okay. It's good. It's beneficial. I just don't see how you can do it. I'm watching South Charleston High School and I'm watching these young players play for the first time. I seen South Charleston, kid that I know the dad, and I'd sit and talk to him. He's crying, man. He's out there as a freshman, big kid, trying to play ball, trying to do the best thing. His experience as a freshman is 70 and 80 to nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is for somebody, if this transfer is for somebody, it's for the star athlete. It's not for the future star. It's for the star athlete. It's not for the average star or the average player who's going to play football for 4 years and then go to college, go out and get a job.
Yeah.
And so I think it's messed up. I think it's wrong. And I think that there's no way that this can. And the bad thing about it, saying that you're going to overturn it, you're never going to send these kids back. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So what's the fix? Just saying, okay, we're not going to do it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think and Governor Jim Justice commented on it. It's going to be, I think, in the new sessions, it's going to be heavily discussed, and I think eventually it's going to be overturned. But, as it stands now, it is what it is. And I think what we saw, particularly like from Nitro and Hurricane, is that you coming into games where you're not properly battle tested, as my boy Buddy coined that phrase to me at least, is that it's going to reveal itself. So when you beating somebody as bad as you beat those teams in the first two team or equally matched coaching staff,
Wait. GW won no equally matched team.
I said team or coaching staff.
GW coaching staff won equally.
What?
Way better.
I'm just saying, matched or better. I'll say it like that.
I've been telling y'all this for how many weeks I've been on here? I've been storming it 6-7 weeks. When it get tough, it get tough, and we seen it. We seen some terrible calls. We seen, and I'm not a coach. But I've been around it a long time, and I'm screaming at my phone, Carl, like, kick the field goal. They've been stopping this guy all night. Kick the field goal and let your superstars be superstars. You gotta give them a chance. If you win it there, they still have. If you score there, they still have 3 minutes come down there and score on you.
Right.
Kick the field goal. And hopefully, one of your I'm talking about the Hurricane game. One of your superstars, DB, could get a pick, a fumble, anything can happen. But if you do not kick the field goal and you do not get the first down, the ball game is over.
Yeah.
And if I'm an assistant coach, I'm in my head coach ear screaming, kick, 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 kick.
If you're an assistant coach, you talked about it when you got home.
Oh, they talked about it before that.
They were going to talk about it before I got home.
They was texting each other like, man, we told you to kick the ball, boy.
But I think what this highlights is just it is what it is. You can transfer, you can have all the talent, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee you anything. You still have to be able to manage the game, manage the talent. We seen it with Nitro going to Hoover. Hoover, battle-tested team. They was 0-2. They played Scott, and they faced Chapmanville, lost both games. Battle-tested field team. And when they came in, they faced in the Nitro, who was supposed to put up 70, 80 points a game, and then they actually won that game. I think, what was it, 50, 42 to 3? Something to that effect. So I think when you talking about, whether you're going to be transferred in or not, to your point, I will agree with this point, it's almost like if I know I have a team of superstars, I almost have to create some adversity if I know I'm going to have a string of games where I'm going to be blowing teams out, I'm clearly have the advantage. Maybe I have to create some adversity in order to get them battle ready when we face the team. Because I thought, again, to your point, Woody, GW's coaching staff did a superior job.
Man.
I mean, they did a great job of matching up. They did strategically. I think they moved some of their chess pieces around on the defensive line, and they pretty much won the game on special teams. You know, the kickers, the punters, fabulous. So
the punt, they got an
kick.
interception and they got a fumble recovery.
Yeah, so basically they won it really much because I would say watching the game, defensively and offense, they were about even. But special teams, GW was just far superior.
And they stopped the quarterback, QB1 for Hurricane. That's the worst I ever seen the kid play. And I like him. I think Long is a dog.
Did you see? I'm sure you
dog.
probably saw the Dallas game.
Cowboys,
and the Jets. And the Giants.
Yeah.
See what pressure does to a quarterback. It changes. It changes who you are. I've never seen a quarterback get hit, get banged up, and be great.
Yeah, I'm
not saying he can't get back up, but in that particular game, that is tough when you get hit. When you know every time that coach calls a pass, oh gosh, here comes that rush. Yeah. That's a problem.
And to Abe Fenwick's, to his credit, I mean, he was going through the same thing. Hurricanes defensive line was harassing him all night. He was able to make some pretty good throws, and he had the 2 touchdown runs. So, again, it's just one of them things, like you said, if you're a quarterback, you getting hit, it's going to be a long day.
It's a long day.
It's going to be a long day for you. But you got to make something happen.
You got to make something. That is your role.
Yeah, you have to make something happen, whether arm, feet. Just like we was talking earlier with Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if you watched the game, Woody.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Yes,
and he was under that same pressure in the first half, but he was still putting the ball out there. He didn't make the big mistake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if his stats wasn't that great, particularly in that first half, he just didn't make the.
If you look at some of the star stats, star quarterback stats, in the league, they weren't very good either.
Yeah.
They weren't very good.
Not with pressure.
Pressure kills everybody. Yeah. And I don't care if you're pro, high school, college, whatever. If you're hitting that quarterback, you got a chance to win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. GW going to Huntington this week. What y'all think?
Huntington
got a lot of talent. Huntington got athletes from the guard position to the kick returner. I mean,
to the water boy.
To the water boy. I don't think they'll be able to overcome just the amount of athletes they have on the field at one time. Huntington's a different animal, I think.
Now, Spring Valley 0-3, Coach. 0-3 Spring Valley. Now, Hurricane, I mean, they got the talent. We got talent across the board. They come up, lost to an unranked team, GW. They was unranked. Spring Valley goes to Hurricane this week. What you thinking? They 0-3 Spring Valley. Ain't the regular Spring Valley team?
Yes, I think Hurricane will probably win this game.
Yeah, they'll bounce back.
I think they'll bounce back. I think this will be one of those games that they will focus on their stars.
Gotcha.
Because you have to. You have to. You gotta. If my boy's the receiver, you better get me and my kid the ball. If you get my kid the ball, we'll win. And that's the problem when you get into these kind of deals, is that the pressure of, my kid needs to get some protection.
Right.
My kid needs to get the ball. You need to throw him the ball more. You find yourself caught up in these deals that you made, and that becomes a huge problem.
But I think it's probably, I believe the loss to GWs are actually going to be a good thing for Hurricane in the long run. It happened early, so they'll have time to recover as far as the ranking is concerned, but they'll also have time they'll have that film for themselves to look at and analyze, because I think that's what people are going to be trying to do. They're going to take that same cloud defense that they was running to the receiver and that same pressure they was getting on the quarterback. So hopefully they'll study the film, and I think they'll bounce back pretty good. And I think they should beat Spring Valley, particularly Spring Valley coming up.
Yeah, they're going to Hurricane. It's hard to play up there. It's not just this year. It's hard to play.
It's hard, but my answer might be different if you had to go to Spring Valley. It's hard to play down there too.
It is.
It's hard to play down there, bro.
So I'm gonna close this here with a couple of questions. This question: what do we think is the best way now to save us with the transfer? What do we do?
Well, I think it's going to be – I don't know if it's going to be totally amended or overturned, but I think it will be amended. I think they're probably going to do something where you're allowed to transfer, maybe bring it back to the middle school to high school, or they'll say it doesn't offer the sport. Now they get to play at somewhere else, and the public school don't get to transfer. So you can't because that creates inequality, right? Yeah. So you can't have it like that. So either it's going to be one way, or it's going to just go back plainly to the old way. So I hate to give you my political answer as I always do, but I'm sincerely confused on how they're going to balance the scales on the original intent of the bill versus where we've seen it has the potential to go to.
You don't think they just go back to the old rule?
But they may go back to the old rule. But I guess my question is how you address the hope thing, how you address the homeschool and the private.
Well, you got to pull the
aspect.
hope scholarship out of that.
Oh, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, you're going to have to pull that out.
So
of
you
that.
say they got to separate.
They got to separate them. They got to separate them.
Yeah, but I'm saying
here's something that I have a problem with, a huge problem with, because it's the underlining piece of destroying the future of a school. When you start talking about giving that 8th grader an option to go wherever he wants, South Charleston can rebound if they got all of the kids that have to come to the high school.
Yeah.
Why would you give that away? That's the foundation. That's securing your team, your student body, your student athlete body from the 8th grade to the 9th grade.
So your suggestion, would you suggest that they have to go to that home high school, and
yes.
then if something go wrong, you can transfer out?
Whatever the rule that they come up with, you can fall into that rule, but you have to go. You have to go to your high school.
You have to go to your high school, and then you can transfer out.
Yes, if that is what the new rule becomes. I don't know what the new rule is.
No, I'm saying we're talking about proposal.
Yes,
like if you
my proposal is at the core of this. If you're going to have all these kids leaving, you've already stripped all these teams of players.
Yeah.
So if the next year coming, if you think about your child and you thinking about going to South Charleston and the way they're getting killed.
Yeah,
I'm not sending my 8th grader there because you know what I'm going to do? Because or my 8th grader to 9th grader, he's going to end up fooling around playing. I don't want him to play. That's a safety issue. So I'm going to send him or her somewhere else because I want them to go through the process, play JV, then work their way into the lineup.
Okay, so just on record, so your proposal is that if Carl Lee could write the legislation, you would say from middle school to high school, 8th to 9th grade, you have to go to your home school, and then you would consider a transfer option thereafter.
No, I wouldn't. But no, I wouldn't. But I'm just saying, whatever they come up with, that's different than what it is now.
That should be in place.
That should be in place because you can't. You're plucking them on both ends. You don't have anybody coming. And you got everybody going.
Well, I could actually agree with you on that. But that actually makes sense. You're plucking them on both ends. So
yes, you can't do that.
Stop at least one of them.
Yes, you got to stop one of them.
Okay, Woody.
I forgot the question, but I hope when we get back in session, these legislators and these people in the office over there bring some athletes, bring some coaches.
Gosh, that'd be so good.
Bring some parents. Bring some people that just love high school football. Like we got older people that just love Friday night football. Win, lose, or draw.
Somebody said that.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, somebody said that. I read it somewhere where somebody said, "I'm not sure why these politicians aren't talking to athletes and getting their understanding."
Well, I say this, and I told people a long time ago. I told people a couple weeks ago it was going to get changed because it wasn't a grassroots thing. And I think when we say why weren't they talking to the athletes and different things of that and coaches and whatnot, because it wasn't a grassroots. It was a delegate who had a specific problem that he chose to address legislatively. It wasn't something that came
That's
from
selfish.
The,
We do know that.
No. He had his point, and I don't think. And my thing is, I don't think he saw this coming. So what I'm saying,
don't you got to look at that?
No, well, hold up. I don't think he
have no reason to protect him.
I don't think he had no vision of this.
but
so what I'm saying,
you're doing so with no vision.
What I'm saying though is that I think now this is going to be a grassroots thing. This is a grassroots movement where we might end up seeing a more collaborative effort at the legislative sessions.
Okay, if he didn't know, Okay.
I'm not saying he didn't know. I'm just saying I don't think he
But you're
foresaw
justifying
this.
yes.
Because he's thinking about, because you got to remember what he said. He's like, I have private school and homeschool kids and they want to play sports. And I want to give them a pathway to play sports or if their school doesn't offer said sports. So that was his vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you get tunnel vision just on one thing, sports can explode on you. You can't
but
just
you don't
do
know
it.
what you don't know. I don't think anybody can envision that.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But you can't tell me if I said to you, Hollis, okay, I'm just gonna let anybody transfer whenever they get ready.
But see, that wasn't the language.
No. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying because that's what happened.
That's what happened.
That's how it became. You'd be like, bro, that's gonna be a problem.
For sure. If we stated like that,
And that's really how it ended up.
that's how it ended up. But I'm saying that I don't think that was the intent.
It may not have been.
He didn't foresee that.
For the people, I know we got to go. For the people that didn't listen to that first podcast, what was the reason he brought this to the table?
The reason he brought it to the table was his thought his initial thought process was that if you are a kid and you go to a private school and they don't offer football, you should have the option of going to, while still being in that private school, going to another school to offer.
I thought they
play
did
football.
that already.
If you're a homeschool kid and you obviously you don't have no sports there, you should be able to play for,
I know a young lady that
go to.
I know we got to go real fast. I know a young lady that go to South Charleston Middle or went to, and they didn't have a soccer team, and she played at Charleston Catholic. I thought that was already in place.
I don't think it was in place to this. And again, the Hope Scholarship, in addition, the Hope Scholarship was added to that as well, where now you get that $4,500 to if you're going from public to private. So that allowed that transfer as well.
I noticed before.
So you can't still maintain that and then tell another kid, well, you can't transfer from here to there.
I think y'all need to bring what's his name? We can say his
Delegate
name, right?
Pence.
Delegate Pence back on the show and ask the hard questions. I really think he should be on here next week because I'm gonna be listening.
Well, I've talked to Coop, and Coop has said, we've asked, and
he won't come on.
We haven't.
Come on, Hollis, pull your strings. What you doing, bro?
Yeah, he pulling strings all over the other places. He might as well pull it there.
What y'all do to that man? He came on the first time and won't come back on. Get him some coffee.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go. We appreciate it. This is Let's Talk. Carl Lee. We'll be back next week.
The opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of WVRC Media, its management, employees, or sponsors. Contact Carl Lee on email, letstalkcarllee@gmail.com, or text 409-422-7539.